I've said I don't think the Florida Gators are going to beat the Texas Longhorns, but if they're going to, here's how.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free for everything in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Friday. I am Brandon Olson. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, where another team that hurts my whole entire soul sometimes. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers place a $5 bet. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com to get started. We are not talking about Billy Napier coming back for the 2025 season because we talked about that last night. We went live to discuss it. And so we're not going to be talking about that today. We will talk about that next week and as time goes on. But today we are talking about if the Florida Gators can beat the Texas Longhorns, which again, I don't think happens. I think Florida's just got too many injuries. If you had a healthy DJ Lagway, I'd be way more optimistic about that. But fact of the matter is you don't right now. And I will say for me, the biggest key, running the football, right? Billy Napier, when he got hired from Louisiana, came out here with the introductory press conferences where, and by introductory, I mean, I believe it was that spring where Rob Sale came out to talk about it. Billy Napier came out to talk about it. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Rob Sale that was like, hey, I've seen Billy Napier win football games he's not supposed to win because of being able to establish the run and dominate time of possession. And I think that when you are a 3-touchdown underdog on the road against a top 5 team in the country with your third string quarterback starting, the ultimate way to win that game for offense, at least, the ultimate way to put up as many points as you can is to run the football. And I want to be clear, like that's not me saying, oh, just run the ball every single play. But that is me saying that you need to run the football and kill the clock. Because when you throw the ball, if there's an incompletion, clock stops. That means that there's another, we'll say conservatively, 30 seconds from the time that Florida will end a play to get set and then snap the ball the next time. We'll say 30 seconds there. If you throw an incompletion, you limit that. You got to limit those because those will add up. Those will add up. Last week, Aiden Warner threw, I believe it was 15 incompletions, right, against Georgia. That's 7.5 minutes, we'll say again, if you're just going by 30 seconds every incompletion that you lose from being able to run the ball and kill clock longer. So that adds up over time, right? Limit incompletions, which we'll talk about more later, but running the football means that you are usually gaining yardage. Usually pretty successful play for Florida this year. Move the sticks, dominate time of possession. And I also just straight up, and again, we'll say like, yes, DJ Lagway might play. I would be stunned if he does. And if he does, he is not going to be anywhere close to the DJ Lagway that we've seen throughout his very short career with the Florida Gators so far. But I don't think that Texas's run defense is as good as some fans think. I don't. I think that their edge rushers are looking to rush the passer more than anything else and win with athleticism there. Works for a lot of teams. Or works against a lot of teams, against a lot of offenses. The Florida Gators, though, however you may feel about players on the offensive line or anything like that, I think that they can be able to run the ball against this defense. We'll see what happens, of course, when it's like, oh, well, they're really keying in on the run there. They're trying to stop the run that way. But when I look at like a Colin Simmons on the edge, or when I look at the rest of this Texas defensive front that's not as great as they were last year with Byron Murphy II and Tavondre Sweat both gone. I think, hey, You started Hayden Hansen and Tony Livingston at tight end against Georgia. Those were the first two tight end set was Hayden Hansen, Tony Livingston. Your two best blocking tight ends available. I think that you've got to start them again, put them on the field early, put them on the field often, and run the damn ball. Like, I do think this is I don't think Florida's going to win this game, but I do think that your offense can kill the clock and run the football effectively inside and out. Like, I don't think that this is going to be, Florida's going to be lucky to score 3 points. I don't think this is going to be that kind of game. I think Florida loses. I think Florida loses probably handedly. But I don't think it's going to be as brutal as some people are thinking without DJ Lagway. Again, if DJ Lagway is available, I think that your passing attack gets significantly better. I don't think your running game gets that much better because I don't think he's going to be a rushing threat even if he does play. Just, hamstring hurt a week ago. Not usually a strong indicator that he's going to be very active on the ground. But again, I feel like you can get it done on the ground. I think that, again, this Texas defense, like, you look at running to the edges and, yeah, they're really athletic. But you've got pretty physical running backs, right? Jaden Baugh gets it done through and after contact. Jacoby Jackson gets it done through and after contact. And if Montrell Johnson is playing, he gets it done through and after contact. So when I look at an edge rusher that is trying to get upfield as quickly as possible, also let's acknowledge, I do think that you can have a bit of success running draws against Texas. Again, when you've got these fast edge rushers that want to get downfield quickly or get upfield quickly, you go around them. Basically, you let them get that jump, and then you go around that. Also, yeah, you're playing this game without Trey Wilson, which is your only receiver that's really been used as a rushing threat. But I do think that having Aiden Warner as your likely starter, having, even if DJ Lagway is available, going to be banged up, I think you have to really look at it and say, hey, we need to get creative here. Run the reverse, like hand off the ball on the reverse. Just try it. Your run game probably needs to open up a little bit schematically, right? Run pin pull. Run more counters. Spam the things that work for you. Especially when we talk about, again, having these really athletic edge rushers that are more interested in rushing the passer than anything else. Run counter. Let them be really aggressive, get upfield, and run by them. Run split zone. I do think that Aiden Warner can do very little on the ground. Like, I look at him as maybe slightly more athletic than Graham Mertz, right? But even Graham occasionally found some success when running an option play, which, again, really athletic edge rushers, they're going to run downhill, they're going to run past where they should be and probably be a little undisciplined there. You can get things done. And I do think you see a lot of 12 personnel. I think you see a lot of pistol set, and you see a lot of, we are going to run the football as long as it's working. As long as we can pick up 4 or 5 yards at a chunk every time, we're going to keep running the football. And we're going to do it until it doesn't work. Kill time. We will talk more about the defense next on Locked On Gators. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job. And if you are someone who is not running a small business, but is open to new opportunities, even if you're not actively looking, your LinkedIn profile, your settings, you can set it so that recruiters will see, hey, this person's open to opportunities, but it won't be broadcast to everybody that you're looking for a new spot. Just saying, you could set it. So go ahead. No one's going to be like, oh my God, they're looking for a new thing. Nope. Don't gotta worry about that. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I am wearing the 2-bit shirt, which is one of my favorite shirts. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, if you ever watched, but love it. It's just fantastic material. The most comfortable shirts I own. And it's by Home Field Apparel with a lot of the shirts that you see me wear on this show. Home Field Apparel is the place to go. You can go to the football box, which contains 3 never-before-seen items for your school, which doesn't have to be Florida, but they do have Florida as one of their major schools that contributes to them or that they sell shirts of. They've got gear that you can wear all season long, suitable for all weather conditions. I got sweats from Home Field, shorts from Home Field. It's beautiful, and you could save 15% when you use code GATOR24 at homefieldapparel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, wherever it's in the podcast and on YouTube. And looking at the defensive side of the ball for the Florida Gators, which, by the way, this defense has been playing just... I don't think inspired is a good enough word to describe it. That's why I'm hesitant to use inspired, because I don't think it's good enough. Like, this defense has been playing freaking awesome, right? And yes, credit goes to the defensive coaching staff for scheming up blitzes and pressures and getting, like, last week against Georgia, Florida only picked up 11 pressures, but it felt like every time they did, they created some kind of play with that, right? Whether it was the Devin Moore interception with Cam James coming around the right tackle, whether it was the Aaron Gates interception, whether it was that Miles Graham sack on Carson Beck that just felt huge. Something about that, like that being Miles Graham's first career sack in the Florida-Georgia game, like that, it just, something about it just felt special, right? It did. I don't know. At least to me, like watching that, I was like, oh, like that's what a moment that had to be. That was against Carson Beck. Against Quinn Ewers, you still need to generate pressure, but more so against Quinn Ewers without blitzing. And yes, you will blitz. Of course, we know you will blitz. You will send 5 at certain points. But I do think that this is one of those games where, and I know that people have seemingly, like people used to love this word, but they've kind of gotten a little, it's like a soft spot now of saying creepers, which if you're unfamiliar with it, because it's been a while since they talked about it, creepers or replacement blitzes are, I mean, they were modernized by Ron Roberts, who's on the coaching staff, even though he shouldn't be, where you don't show blitz. So you still got your normal defensive front. And then let's say you drop an edge rusher like a George Gums or a TJ Searcy or a Jack Pyburn into coverage, but you replace it by blitzing on the opposite side with a nickel defender or a linebacker. It's a replacement blitz. You're pulling out a traditional pass rusher into coverage, and you are blitzing with a non-traditional pass rusher. Again, any DB or off-ball player. Those are probably going to be pretty helpful against Texas. I think that Quinn Ewers has been pretty good at identifying when a blitz is coming in and getting rid of the ball quickly. However, I don't think he's done a good job of handling disguised coverages on the back end or players dropping into coverages where he wasn't anticipating them. And so that's why I say, hey, you run creepers, the replacement blitz, whatever you want to call it. And if he's not anticipating Jack Pyburn dropping into coverage, might make a mistake there. I'm not saying Pyburn's going to get another pick this week, but might make a mistake, cause a little bit of hesitation, allow your pressure to get in and force him to make a mistake. Because don't forget, he's also had fumbling issues. Like Quinn Ewers specifically has had fumbling issues this year. I could imagine, which I know people like to bring up last year of Princely swiping at the ball instead of finishing the sack. I could see any of the blitzing players or any of the pass rushers that are actually getting home swiping at the ball, specifically because Quinn Ewers has had issues taking care of the ball this year. We saw it against Miami. They were swiping at the ball. Like Florida has done a decent job this year of when you have a quarterback that has struggled with ball security, they swipe at the ball. That's a good thing to do, specifically when you have a quarterback that struggles there. Again, I think Quinn Ewers has been pretty good at recognizing blitzes. I don't think he's been good at recognizing disguised coverages. And he's also been the type of quarterback where he makes mistakes when he's pressured. Again, Every quarterback gets worse when they are under pressure. That's just the most common thing you can see of quarterback getting pressured. They make a mistake. That's why it's pressure. So I think that you have to disguise coverages, disguise your pressures, and get into the backfield. Sim pressures are probably going to be another thing that you see from this defense on Saturday or tomorrow, where you can crowd the line of scrimmage. You can get 6 up there, 7 if they're in a condensed set. Crowd the line of scrimmage, drop back, and only rush 4. But the issue there is which 4, or the problem there for the offense is which 4 are rushing, because that's what gets guys, right? It's not just that, oh, you dropped guys. It's that they have to decide, the offensive line and the quarterback have to be in sync with who are we blocking? Who do we think is rushing? And that's why if you could play a defense where you crowd the line of scrimmage and drop a bunch back into coverage, you really screw things up. Because, again, the point of Austin Armstrong, Ron Roberts, Patrick Toney, like that coaching tree, including a Dan Lanning, we'll throw him in like again, he's not from the coaching tree, but that schematic point. It's the modern thing that Ron Roberts originated and should no longer be on the staff, but that he originated, where you're trying to generate pressure without sacrificing coverage on the back end. That's an important part here. And I think this is especially important against Texas. I think that you did a pretty good job of it against Georgia. I mean, you look at some of the pressures that Florida did generate against Georgia, strictly coverage. They had, was it Cam James that had the other sack? Because Florida only had 2. It was Miles Graham and Derek Wingo. Came in with coverage. Just everybody was covered because, again, you weren't blitzing. You were generating pressure without blitzing. And coverage was there, and you had no decision. You had no choice, and you screwed up and got sacked there. Things like that, first off, chef's kiss by Florida. But things like that you have to do against Quinn Ewers too. Like you need to make him make a mistake and speed up his processor a little bit. I don't think you can go out there and be just insanely aggressive with blitzes. I do think that you need to have just a good pass rush plan in general and capitalize off the opportunities that will be presented because, again, Quinn Ewers has not been great under pressure this year. In fact, I'll pull up his numbers when he's been under pressure and when he's not under pressure. Obviously, he has been not under pressure way more than he's been under pressure, but so sample size matters there. When he's been not under pressure, he's completing 75% of his passes, 8 yards per attempt, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks, 7 turnover-worthy plays. So that's picks and fumbles, which I do think is important to just differentiate there. And when he's under pressure, he's completing 51% of his passes, 6 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3 turnover-worthy plays. Again, significantly less times he's been under pressure. But when he's blitzed, he's been pretty good. When he's not blitzed, he's been worse, okay? That's what I'm saying. He does a good job of recognizing coverages quickly. Like, if he sees 5 people coming in, he's like, all right, there's a soft spot underneath quickly somewhere, and I'm going to go hit that. And he does a pretty good job at that. So that's why I'm harping on you need to generate pressure without blitzing. You cannot sacrifice coverage on the back end in this game. And I especially think for Florida's point of view, they want to make this bend, don't break. They don't want to be put in a situation where let's say they score a touchdown. They don't want to be put in a situation where defense gives up a big play and offense is right back on the field. They don't want to be stuck in that spot, right? They want to kill clock. They want to go out there and kill time and kill clock and work it that way. Can't be giving up big plays when you have an offense that probably won't be converting big plays. So I do think that, again, you've got to be conservative in coverage, but your pass rush plan can still be effective and aggressive. I think too many people go, oh, well, you either have to just, rush 4, drop 7, and live with not getting that much pressure, or blitz 5 or 6 and then deal with getting beat. Because if you don't get pressure, that's tough. No, this is modern football. There's plenty of ways to generate pressure, again, without sacrificing coverage on the back end. Stunts, twists, creepers, any hot word you want to use. you can do that. You can generate pressure without sacrificing coverage, and the Florida Gators need to do that against Quinn Ewers if they want to create turnovers and win the game. I said yesterday on the crossover, Florida's got to be +3 in the turnover margin. You do. You've got to win that turnover margin by a pretty sizable amount if you even want a chance at this game. That's how you do it. Generate pressure on Quinn Ewers. He can fumble. He has fumbled multiple times this year. He throws picks. Make him make mistakes and take the ball from him and take the life out of that Texas offense and probably Texas defense as well. We will go back to the Florida Gators offense for the rest of the show next on Locked On Gators. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society, and now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth, and these generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. Like, let's say you're watching your favorite team play this Sunday. And you're like, they're really killing them on the ground. What's Rachaad White's total rushing number? I'm going to go live bet because you can do that. You can. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever in the podcast and on YouTube. And earlier I mentioned that incompletions are a pain, right? Because again, you want to keep clock moving in this game. And I know it sounds like I'm just really harping on that. Welcome to being a 3-touchdown underdog. This is what you need to do. I think far too many people think, when you're a 3-touchdown underdog, you got to go just nuts with it. Balls to the wall, take deep shots all the time, try to get it all back in one time. No, I think that, and when I was less experienced with football, I would think the same thing. It's shifted, right? Now, when you're a huge favorite or a huge underdog, it's about playing smart football, consistent football, moving downfield, punching them in the mouth often, and winning that way. When you're the huge favorite, you want to do that, and because you don't want to give the underdog the opportunity to have a game-changing play by you try to take deep shots and completions. We talked about this yesterday with Jonathan Davis when he was like, hey, I need Quinn Ewers to take some deep shots. He's been really conservative with the ball lately. Need to be more aggressive. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. With Florida, I need you to be conservative passing. And I bring that up specifically because, and like the passing game specifically, because, again, you're trying to kill clock, but also more importantly, the most commonly called coverage by Texas is quarters coverage. Okay? That means they're going to have people deep. They're not trying, they're not giving up the deep shot. They're perfectly content going, hey, if you want to dink and dunk and you want to attack that way, go ahead and do it. Because that's not going to score touchdowns against us. That's what they're trying to do. They're playing bend, don't break in the most modern way possible. We'll give you underneath stuff. We'll come up and make tackles, and then we'll keep you out of the end zone. Because when we're playing quarters coverage and we're on, you're at the 50, we'll say. We're playing quarters coverage. Yeah, you'll take a 4-yard pass and pick up 7 total and then keep moving the sticks that way, sure. But once we get inside the 20, field shrinks and we've still got people back playing coverage, playing safe coverage there, and we're not giving up touchdowns in that way. That's what Texas is trying to do. Bend, don't break. In this situation, that's fine. That's fine. Take what's available. You've got Aiden Warner, who I do believe can pretty effectively use perimeter screens and slants out of the RPO, like run an RPO, hand off the ball, which again, I think the run game can work against Texas. So hand off the ball or throw quickly to the perimeter, let your guys run because their secondary probably going to be pretty backed off. This is all about, again, 3 touchdown underdog. Take what's there. And when you play a defense that's going to play quarters coverage frequently, you know what's going to be there underneath. You can also look at the short middle and say, hey, Arliss Boardingham, Tony Livingston, Hayden Hansen, anybody, run that little. We've seen Hayden run a little more frequently lately. The kind of just run to the sticks and run a curl. And if they hit you, they hit you. Get a couple yards after the catch. And you move the sticks, you convert, kill clock, move forward, right? Wouldn't shock me if you see that. Because when you're playing quarters coverage, typically you're rushing 4 still, right? Because rushing 3 leaves you at such a disadvantage with a pass rush where even if you are playing coverage and you're sitting back there with 8 in coverage, it's tough to cover people for, we'll say, more than 4 seconds. Like, that's really difficult. So typically in quarters, you're going to see Texas rush 4. That means that they're going to have 7 in coverage. If there's 4 deep, you're going to have flat, someone over the middle. That means that there's a lot of space that those 3 underneath defenders need to work with, that they need to cover. That's why you say, hey, we'll have, Elijah Badger running a slant, and we'll have Hayden running a curl. You got to pick which one you're going to cover. And as long as you make the right read, the quick read, convert that way. So things like that, you got to work underneath, let yards after catch come if they're going to come. And if not, as long as you're picking up first down and moving the sticks, it's successful. Okay. Like that's a thing too, where I know you're not going to see very many explosive plays from this Florida Gators passing attack this week, at least not from throwing the ball deep downfield. That doesn't mean that you can't just get the ball to a playmaker and let them pick up some yards after that. You got to hit running backs in the flats. You're going to see the swing routes probably. You can run running back screens, which I don't know. For the life of me, I don't know why this Florida offense doesn't run running back screens. Imagine getting a guy like Jaden Baugh in space, a guy like Jacoby Jackson in space. And we've seen Jacoby Jackson pick up decent yards after the catch on screens. But imagine just letting them go into the flats, specifically to the left side of the field, because you don't want the right side running out in space and blocking. We've seen that not work. But go to the left side of the field, hit them in the flat, and let them run, and then they're one-on-one with a corner. Sounds like a pretty good strategy if you ask me. But hey, they get paid a hell of a lot more money than I do for football knowledge, right? Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free breakfast of the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow after the game to talk about it regardless of the result. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olson. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.